Hey guys, let's get into our energy of the week. This week may honestly be presenting some challenges. We have two very intense, powerful, masculine energy dominant squares that are playing out to start our week. As we move through the week, I will tell you guys the tension and the pressure are going to ease up. We're going to gain some clarity, some insight, some understanding, some perspective as we get near Friday and the weekend. And then actually, as we move into next week, there's going to be a much softer vibe going on, and we're going to have a greater sense of security, stability, comfort, that type of stuff. So no worries, you guys. Trust the process, and our faith being tested is definitely a dynamic of the lesson plan that is playing out for us this week. And generally, we have a very Saturnian week going on, but also a very like Martian Plutonic week. Things could just get real heated, real intense. There's probably going to be a lot of anger that is bubbling to the surface. And we've got a lot to talk about, you guys, in our report of the day. So let's do that. Let's get into our report. Let's look at how all this is coming together for us and what perhaps it might indicate as we move through our week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, June 10th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. If you guys stick with me till the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us as well. I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality when I'm doing these energy assessments, just to get an alternative energetic viewpoint on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. That's going to happen at the end. Let's get right into the astrology. We do have a bit of a tricky week energetically this week. We have two essentially weeks a year where the sun is in a square to Saturn. This is one of them. We have a very heavy Saturnian influence this week. We are coming out of a weekend where Venus was in a square to Saturn, and yesterday the sun was in an exact square to Saturn, which is the sun square Saturn, of course, that is carrying over to today. As we move through the week, Mercury, the messenger planet, ruling the position of all the Gemini planets right now and transiting Gemini in his sign of rulership, will also come into the square with Saturn. This, of course, is bringing in even more of this Saturnian energy. And the moon is going to transit Virgo later this week as well, which will put the moon in an opposition to Saturn. So we have a lot of planets aspecting Saturn by harsh aspect this week. So we know that it is probably just going to be one of those weeks. This week, life is testing us, okay? And if we approach the week with that mental frame, I think that it will probably, to an extent perhaps, diminish some of the frustrations that could be manifesting in this energy, especially if we are not aware of the life test nature of just the way that energy is presenting this week. So something to keep in mind, and maybe configure your brain along those lines as we approach and move into this energy might just help you out. Secondly, we do have this very intense, powerful Mars-Pluto square going on out there. Early degrees of fixed signs. Universe is bringing the thunder this week, you guys. At least to start the week for sure. And it's even being indicated symbolically, aside from these two very powerful masculine oriented squares that are playing out simultaneously. Listen to the symbolism where Mars and Pluto come into their square together. Mars will be at 2 degrees of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is an electrical storm, illuminates the heavens and the forests. And Pluto right now is at 2 degrees retrograde in Aquarius, which is an unexpected thunderstorm. So, you know, this could be very literal. Mars is in the sign of Taurus. This is an earth sign. This has to do with, you know, like what's going on in the world. With all the storm symbolism, there literally could be some like powerfully destructive storms that blow through. Or this could be very metaphorical for something. We also got, you know, these are thunderstorms, and we're talking about lightning. That's the Uranian influence. Uranus is also in the sign of Taurus right now. Mars just moved into Taurus alongside Uranus. So that means over the next couple of weeks, several weeks here, we're going to be building into a Mars-Uranus conjunction, and that is also going to bring the thunder. That is going to light the fuse on everything that Mars and Taurus, or no, that Uranus and Taurus has been bringing to us over the course of the past several years, actually, that Uranus has been transiting the sign of Taurus. So there's likely to be some big shakeups coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks, several weeks. It takes Mars like 2 months approximately to transit a sign. So we're looking at, I'd say, I haven't looked at the exact date of when the conjunction happens yet, but we're looking at, you know, it coming into prominence and dominance in our energetic field probably around 5 or 6 weeks from now. And I will be back, you guys, with the exact dates of that as we move more towards that energy. So just come with me on this journey and you will know exactly when that is happening. I just don't have it in my head right now. But that's, you know, where we're moving towards. And with the square happening at this degree, this could just be, on one hand, really causing some shakeups or like illuminating some things for us. On another hand, of course, you know, it could be representing some of these tower moments or just the storm symbolism by metaphor kind of generally. And then of course we're talking about, this is not an isolated aspect, right? No. It's happening in congruence with Sun square Saturn, which is also one of the more notoriously difficult transits to be going on. And of course we're talking about the Sun and Saturn, very powerful, dominant, masculine forces these two planets represent. When they come into their square, this is like a clash of wills. This is about, you know, who's going to come out on top. This is power and control and the hierarchy associated with that, okay? And then when we're talking about the Mars squaring Pluto, that is also like fierce power struggles. Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, Mars in the sign of Taurus, digging in heels, determined, willful, ruthless, brutal. Okay, so all of that. As I said, as we move through the week, as we get towards Friday, the sun, we're actually gonna have a Sun Mercury cazimi that's gonna go on. Light bulbs, awareness, figuring things out, flash of insight, okay, gaining some crucial piece of information that maybe we'd been needing or that had been missing or lacking somehow. And then turn around, come next week, Venus and Mercury are gonna enter Cancer, and they're gonna do so together. And that is going to give us this greater sense of everything's okay. I have security, all right? We're going to be more oriented in that regard as we move towards the energy of next week. But again, this could probably be quite a conflict-oriented week, I would say, with the two squares between these powerful masculine forces, heavy energy whenever we're dealing with a Saturn dominant vibe going on, as we have all week. And as I said, it's not just the Sun square Saturn, like that's the biggie that is likely to be producing these results, but then Mercury is powerful right now, and his expression traveling through his sign of Gemini, coming into the square, like that is also, we'll be talking about that as we move through the week this week. That is also probably going to be presenting maybe a bit of a test or a challenge for us. And also then the moon coming in, transiting Virgo, hitting the opposition to Saturn as well. So it's like boom, Saturn, active. And another thing about the Saturnian energy, you could find that some of the things that are presented in the challenges this week, or, you know, that come up or are presenting an issue, whatever, Saturn is actually at the degree for these squares to the personal planets that he's making this week, where he's going to station to go retrograde actually on June 29th at the end of the month. So, and he'll be retrograde through November. So because he is at his station retrograde degree for this round of Sun, Mercury, Venus, Saturn squares, it's kind of giving me the indication, as I was saying, that it might take through November to actually like come to a resolution or like truly sort things out or solve the issues that are presenting in the energy now. Saturn's not necessarily like the fastest moving energy. Saturn rules time, and Saturn restricts and slows things down. So there could be things coming up now that take until November to like truly resolve somehow. But at that point in time, they will. So that is something as well. But masculine forces, you guys, at odds this week, or it could just be a stirring of the masculine energy within us. Now I'm not talking about male and female. I'm talking about masculine and feminine energy. Regardless of your gender, we all have a blend of masculine and feminine energy within us that is necessary to be integrated to create the whole human system, okay? And the masculine energy, this is where we are assertive. This is where we act. This is where we output energy. The feminine energy, this is where we receive. This is where we relax. This is where we surrender. This is where we're more receptive. And of course, we all have an ability to give and receive. That would be an active function of the masculine and dynamic, or the masculine and feminine dynamic functioning within us, okay? So there is likely to be an activation, okay, just of the masculine energy field sort of within all of us, and people are more likely to be, as a result, more combative, more assertive, less compliant, and again, like the desire to dominate kind of coming through in the energy this week. And listen to the degree where the sun is on Monday as we begin this week of dueling squares. 21 degrees of Gemini, that's the position of the sun. That Sabian symbol is a tumultuous labor demonstration. So in the context of also the aspects that we have playing out right now, I do feel like this is in alignment with the general vibe that especially like people, like not necessarily like the authority class, but this is like the worker class, are likely to be experiencing. There's an idea and a theme that's presenting as well. I feel like, especially with the Gemini energy and the twins and the square to Saturn, this is like an older and a younger version of things, like a less mature and a more mature version of things coming to a head and being pitted up against each other, vying for that control, vying for that dominance as well. It's like the junior and the senior, the master and the apprentice, like the boss and the worker, I feel like is really being demonstrated in terms of like what type of things we might see manifest in this energy. And with that Sabian symbol, the tumultuous labor demonstration, and also, you know, Pluto, early Aquarius, like this is likely to bring about various forms of rebellion, various forms of non-compliance, various forms of like protests and stuff could be going on with this as well. But generally, people not backing down and people willing to stand up and fight, maybe in some ruthless ways, for the end that they mean to attain, okay? So there's that. Also, these conflicts could be regarding whether or not certain actions will be allowed to take place, will be allowed to move on, like red tape, limitation, restrictions, regulations, blockages, seeming disappointments, losses, breakdowns in communication. Like these could also be things that are like poking the bear and causing the reactions that we may also be seeing as we move through, the more ruthless reactions that we may be seeing as we move through the week as well. Of course, being brought up by a multitude of clashes of wills, egos, motives, these power struggles over like who's going to be in charge and how things are going to go down, how things are going to happen, who's going to make the rules, all of that type of stuff, who's in command, who will come out on top. I do think that people, and we're talking about the sun and Mercury and Venus in this Gemini energy, and we're also talking about the two Martian forces in the square as well, the Scorpio energy with Pluto there, and also the Aries energy with Mars there. So it's really like the dual nature of the masculine energy. It's like the dark and light masculine energy, and it is also the junior and senior masculine energy that are at the same time coming into matching squares with each other. So even that is like dualistic. It's like even that, I'm like, oh, which one is going to be more powerful? You know what I mean? Like which one of those squares is going to come out on top in terms of the dominant energetic influence in which, you know, it manifests in our reality. So it's very, very interesting. And then of course we're talking about two squares, and what season are we in, you guys? We are in Gemini season, where everything is just like doubled, especially this year. The doubling effect that has been coming through in terms of the Gemini energy this year is more potent than I've seen it in past Gemini seasons. I'll put it like that. So generational clashes could be coming up with this. Dominance a major theme this week. Powerful masculine energy at odds with itself or at odds with another version of it somehow. And we've got a Leo moon on Monday and all of this Gemini energy. Things could honestly turn into quite a dramatic spectacle as well. Listen to the position of Mercury ruling the sun, ruling all the Gemini planets right now as we have these squares coming into play on Monday. 16 degrees of Gemini, that Sabian symbol is a woman activist on a platform in an emotional speech dramatizing her cause. So again, like with the Leo moon going on out there and all the Gemini energy and that Sabian symbol and the conflict oriented nature, I don't think that it's going to go unnoticed. Okay. Like whatever these conflicts are, whatever, is being represented or manifesting as a result of these dueling squares going on, like there's likely to be some type of dramatic or public or performative quality to it. A lot going back and forth, of course, as well with this, arguments, debates, like tit for tat about things, pronouncements of assertions of dominance as well that could be going back and forth. Themes of lessons and growing up and maturing are heavy vibes this cycle, you guys. If you watched my new moon video, I emphasized that, and I emphasize that because that is what was clearly being emphasized both in terms of the transits that we had playing out for our new moon in Gemini and also the symbolism that was presenting via the degree placements alongside those transits. It couldn't be more clear that we're in a growing season right now, of course, coming out of Taurus season and being in the spring, but this is also really about growing and expanding our mind now going forward through this Gemini season. And actually, June to June, 2024 to 2025, this is a year of growing and expanding our mind and our knowledge base and our skill sets somehow. And that is, I think that the Saturn square that we're up against right now, I feel like that is actually somehow part of what is going to lead to and become this year where we really grew up, okay, where we really matured somehow, where we really went through some type of process of growth and expansion and like wisening up. This right here might be a little bit of an introduction to that. But don't be surprised also if you make some mistakes going through this week or just generally right now in this period of time that do need to be corrected, but some important lesson is also gained through that process, which actually like resets us maybe or helps us to stop making a certain type of mistake or doing things a certain way moving forward somehow. People could be vicious, I will say, in the energy of this week. Mars squaring Pluto at its highest octaves, this is going to be a very, very powerfully regenerative and healing energy. Okay, this is like blasting through all of the shadows and finding the strength and the resilience to phoenix into it. It really is sort of like a true definition of an activated phoenix energy that we have coming through on a higher octaves of things, but on the lower octaves of things, of course, it's going to be very destructive. It really is. It's like, if you think about the highest potential of empowerment, of like true power in the context of masculine energy and what can be regenerated and built with that, but then you also think about like the true destructive force of the toxic low vibrational low octave masculine energy and how things can really crumble in that. Like that is sort of the balance that, or the two sides that of the coin that this particular Gemini lesson is kind of teaching us this week as well. And so it could just be manifesting as people being ruthless, vicious, just like some brutal stuff going on, no nonsense, critical, harsh, verbally cold about stuff as well with the square to Saturn, like no BS, zero tolerance for really anything type of energy. I wouldn't be surprised if some bombs were dropped this week as well, like literally in terms of this is kind of like war type energy, but also of course metaphorically intense, powerful inner feelings could also really be something that's coming up with this, especially with Pluto retrograde right now. anger, resentment building in the context of authority or some pressure that we're under that we feel like we just is like kind of unbearable right now. Anger or depression will probably be the natural inclination in terms of the way that people are just reacting in the presence of this energy this week, especially to interferences, frustrations, annoyances, challenges that are presenting restrictions, blockages. People, it's just a week where everybody's kind of over it. Everybody might feel like they're sort of maxed out. This is also an energy though that I'll tell you is like slamming on brakes, like hitting a brick wall. Like things may have felt like they were moving forward very nicely over the course of this past several days, this past week or so, with the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction and all of this lovely air sign energy that we've had going on, the conjunction of the Sun and Venus in Gemini. However, we've got Mars and Taurus now. That digs and heals, that slows things down, as opposed to Mars and Aries, which is gung-ho about like getting things done, taking action, moving forward. Mars and Taurus is a much more like patient, deliberate energy that is very stubborn, very willful, very determined, and kind of like immovable, unbudgeable. It's fixed, okay? It's fixed earth. And so this is definitely going to slow things down. And then the Saturn energy, that is limitation, that is restriction. We're talking about in the square to the Gemini energy, which is all about movement, motion, things happening, going back and forth, communication. There could definitely be some real like blocks to communication or our ability to express things going on this week as well. Now, again, I want to remind you guys that this energy is going to shift as we get towards the end of the week, and things are going to soften up quite a bit as the Cancer energy starts coming in. So it really, okay, is just sort of like delayed gratification this week, which is another very strong Saturnian type of thing, okay? Prepare to perhaps have a bit of kind of a long, hard week, but it will be followed by this greater sense of clarity that comes in, comfort, security, safety. That's where we're going. And again, the softer, fuzzier vibes, feels are headed our way. We just have to make it through this test period that's going on this week. So work hard this week, you guys. Give it your all. Do your best. Don't go to war unless it's truly worth it when we're talking about Mars in the sign of Taurus, unless it is really, really that valuable to you. A lot of people are going to be doing it, though. A lot of people are going to be bucking this system. Surrender the burden to a higher power. That is a very good way, I feel like, to pass the test this week, letting go of control. Remember, Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. Despite what we may be coming up against in the context of the Saturnian influence this week, we're actually in a process of a breakdown in long-standing traditions and authorities and conventions and rules and structures and control systems and the ways that things had to be done in the past. And the more that we can kind of have faith, right? Saturn in Pisces. Saturn brings our test. Pisces is about our faith and our belief. The test this week, really at the end of the day, it is a test of our faith. We need to be able to let go of control if it's leading to some type of self-destruction or self-destructive tendency or self-sabotage on some level. The concept, again, of surrendering the burden to a higher power with the faith that things really are going to work out, and we just gotta get there. Things are being handled correctly on the higher levels, even if it's not perceptible to us in the energy of the week. When we've got Saturn energy going on, it really narrows our purview of vision, okay? Especially after we've had such a strong Jupiterian energy that has been involved in the ongoings lately, with Mercury coming into conjunction with Jupiter, all the planets and in the early degrees of Gemini having made the conjunction to Jupiter. And Jupiter in the sign of Gemini right now, as we're moving through Gemini season, like that really broadens and opens up our perspective and brings in, therefore, a lot more opportunities, it shows us some greater potential. It can bring optimism and hope. But when we've got the Saturnian energy going on by square, that really, really narrows the focus and has a tendency to narrow our focus in terms of what is not working. It makes us very critical, judgmental. We can feel very overwhelmed, very overburdened, like the weight of the world load is on our shoulders, and like, you know, maybe we just can't do it. Maybe we're just not truly capable. It can make us very hard on ourselves. And then enter in the Pluto Mars square. Like, people are going to be erupting. People are probably going to be losing it. A lot of it is going to be projection because they can't deal with what's going on and the barriers that they're coming up against inside their own selves. Cognitive dissonance. This is also, we're talking about Gemini with the sun and Saturn and Pisces. This is also like fact and fiction, fantasy and reality, truth and illusion, the information that we're learning and what we've always believed, belief versus information, okay, at odds. And it could be creating just some very intense conflict that is happening internally right now that is manifesting in terms of anger, or people doing some very just like ruthless type of stuff like that as well. So, you know, have faith, surrender the burden. Divine timing is at play. Do the work required on your end. Give it your best effort this week. Don't expect a payoff, though. Tell you that. Don't expect a payoff. Don't expect recognition. We're doing things this week because it's the right thing to do. It is not, like I said earlier, this is delayed gratification. Don't expect that you're going to do a good job and put your all into it and get a pat on the head this week. More likely with the Saturnian energy, actually, you'll just get like kicked in the shins and criticized. But we need to not like attach to other people's false criticism or reactions to things unless we can take it constructively and use it to benefit ourselves somehow. We are doing the work because it's the right thing to do. We're doing what's hard, okay? Or we're doing the right thing is what I meant to say, even if it's the hard thing. We're not cutting corners. We're not taking the easy way out. We're not running away and avoiding our problems. We're not throwing ourselves pity parties and dancing around in these little states of victimhood where we say, I can't, I can't, I can't. No, what we need to do in the energy right now is put like our big boy and girl pants on this week and like get the job done, even if it is very difficult, even if it's not fun at all. The growth, okay, that comes out of this approach in the context of this particular energy, that is actually the golden ticket right now. Like, that actually is the prize. What we get out of what we put in terms of our own character development, like that is what we're working for this week. It's not about somebody else recognizing our effort and giving us a gold star. It's about us persevering, us putting in the effort. And then what we get out of that is the maturity and the wisdom and the trust in ourselves to be able to do hard things that, you know, contributes to the sense of maturity, which is also very wrapped up in the Gemini season and cycle that is underway right now. How we grow and how we mature through the trials and tribulations, like this is the lesson plan, I think, this week. And I think this is why we are, you know, going through this very strong Saturn dominant energy right now. The value derived from our growth is what makes this time worth it, not other people's responses or validation to the efforts that we put in, okay? And this will be very worth it, especially in the context of where we're moving and what's to come moving forward into the future. Mars in the sign of Taurus right now. The work that we're doing to create like a valuable, worthy payoff. All right, so it will be worth it. We are not doing it for external validation, external recognition. We're doing it because we know it's the right thing to do and we are going to benefit in terms of our character development. And as a result, you know, when we develop our character, that is a form of self-actualization, which is literally everything that universe is supporting right now as we are transitioning ages into the age of Aquarius. We have this new Pluto generation that is coming in right now for the next 20 years. Pluto transiting the sign of Aquarius. The more that we can get to know ourselves, the more authentic we can be, the more we can tap into the truth of our own potential, and the more that we can actualize ourself, our purpose, and our destiny, the more we are going to be supported by universe as we move through this period of time, the more that we are going to pass the tests laid before us that this period of time needs us to pass actually in order to do the transition of ages things and begin to root these new frequencies to the planet, which I talk about all the time and I'm not going to go into right now in this very report. So that is what I have to say, you guys, about the energy of the beginning of our week, as we open our week this week. You know, it is what it is. Like, there's always going to be peaks and valleys, right? And we don't have to create this for ourselves. We don't have to get all melodramatic about it. We don't have to be all negative about it. We literally can just realize, I mean, it's always a part of life. Like, even back in like elementary school and stuff, there were just test weeks and you just have to deal with it, and like that's what you got to do, and like that's where we're at. So that's what we're doing, and I feel like that's the best mental frame that we can move through it in to do our best to rise above the frustrations that may be tempting us to explode as we move through this energy as well. Let's get into the tarot now, you guys. The tarot message today is really bolstering what we have indicated through the astrology. In terms of these messages coming through, like, on the back of the deck, we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse and the Seven of Pentacles. This is like some type of block to the flow of information or inspiration or insight or like even drive and motivation and stuff in the context of what we've been working towards. We could feel like we can't go on, like we're hitting a wall, like everything just stopped, like halt, you know, and that, of course, could be bringing up some frustrations and feeling like nothing's happening again in the context of whatever we've been growing, cultivating, working towards for maybe a set period of time. Now, the other energy that we had come up indicated by the tarot today, the Two of Wands in reverse, like that's literally saying basically the same exact thing. This is like the Two of Wands is about like planning and, you know, the potential of things and what we're going to do and how we're going to move and what we're going to create and how we're going to move forward. In reverse, again, like hitting a wall, questioning ourselves, maybe self-doubt, maybe feeling like we can't do it, like we can't go on. Very, very same vibes as these first two cards that came out. And then the rest of our reading looks like this. We've got the Hierophant, which is on one hand Taurus energy, but it also is reminding me sort of Saturn in the sign of Pisces right now. And this guy literally has, you know, he's got his hand out like this, and that could be interpreted a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of different meanings, but one of them is like halt, right? Like slow down, be patient, hold on. So, and this is the authority and the spiritual authority, right? When we're talking about Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So there could be some authority figure that is blocking what you had going on, or with the Six of Pentacles being the card associated in the way that the cards came out today with the Hierophant. This is also, to me, talking about perhaps some type of karmic reckoning underway or conflict with authority as a result of things not being fair, things not being even, the tumultuous labor demonstration going on, right? We also have a lot of Pentacle. We've got two Pentacle cards going on here. So, and we've got the Earth energy that is prominent with the Martian influence and then the Saturn influence, which is also a very grounding force. So, you know, this could have to do with, you know, value assets, financial things, or it could have to do, again, with the Two of Wands, like the projects that we've been engaged in, the vision that we have been like coming to align ourselves with now about the direction that we're going to move in and what we're going to do next. So this basically, in a nutshell, I feel like is just saying, again, like, slowing things down, hold on, interference, blockages, but we've got the Hierophant upright, divine timing, right? Like God, spirit, universe at the wheel, you know, like things are happening as they need to happen. It might be frustrating, but like I said, things are going to shift as we get through this week, and we just need to get through the energy of this week, and we can do it. Have faith, okay? One more card now. Let's get a synchronicity card. God, spirit, universe. What do we have going on? What do we need to keep in mind? What would be some good advice for us as we move through the energy of this week? Let's get a message. What do we need to know? Okay. Count on God, you guys. That's our message for the week. And also the day. Okay. And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Psalms 1:3. You will prosper, you will grow and expand. The law of attraction is now working for you, and you attract all those who will help you in reaching your goals spiritually and materially. So we just got to have faith, you guys. As I said, you know, there is an element of divine timing that is playing out right now. It just, as I said, it just is a Saturn oriented week, but we're going to get through it, and things are going to feel a lot better in the energy of next week. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would enjoy this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence here. I love knowing what's going on with you guys out there. If you are having experiences that align with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. I post images of these whiteboards in a Facebook group that I have that is linked in my description box below. So if you're interested, that's where you can find that. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We will have another video out. We're going to be talking about Mercury square Saturn and the moon in an opposition to Saturn as we move towards the weekend and things do begin to shift. So I'll be here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you next time, guys. And until then, bye.